Today is June 14th, 2019. So where does your tax-paying dollars go? Well, here's one place $127,000 of your U.S. tax-paying dollars went. Taxpayers paid $127,000 in legal bills for judge accused of helping illegal immigrant avoid ICE. Oh, it gets even better. Let's read on. A Massachusetts judge accused of helping an illegal immigrant evade ICE has had $127,000 of your tax-paying dollars in legal fees paid by taxpayers. In addition, a court officer who was indicted, along with the judge, has benefited from $2,500 in legal fees paid by the public. Newton District Court Judge Shelley M. Richmond Joseph, 51 years old, pleaded not guilty in April when she was arraigned in Boston courtroom on obstruction of justice charges stemming from an incident that allegedly took place April 2nd, 2018. Prosecutors claimed in court documents in April of 2019 that Joseph, along with court officer Wesley McGregor, 56 years old, helped Jose Medina Perez, a twice deported illegal immigrant with a fugitive warrant for drunken driving in Pennsylvania, sneak out the back door, eluding agents from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after he appeared in court to be arraigned on drug charges. Jesus, and there's the judge right there, District Court Judge Shelley M. Richmond Joseph departs federal court April 25th, 2019 in Boston after facing obstruction of justice charges for helping a man in the country illegally evade immigration officials as he left her Newton, Massachusetts courthouse after a hearing in 2018. Get a good look at this activist judge. You know she's a communist, Marxist, socialist, activist, terrorist judge, because that's exactly what this judge is. She's a threat to the United States. Frankly, if it were me, I would rip her citizenship away from her, and she would be deported to Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kakistan, one of those countries over there that would have some fun with her, and she'd be dropped off with no money, no phone, tough shit. I can think of a lot of countries to drop her off at. No phone and no money. And no citizenship back to the United States. Fuck her. I don't care if she's a judge or not. What a genuine scumbag, degenerate piece of utter shit. What, it even gets better, because just $127,000. It cost taxpayers to defend her. Wait till you see how much money she makes. Medina Perez, who had been barred from entering the U.S. until 2027, was caught by immigration officials about a month after the hearing. He was currently involved in deportation proceedings after previously being deported in 2003 and 2007. After her indictment, Joseph was suspended without pay, but filed an appeal to have her salary of $184,600 reinstated was being paid $83,344 a year, but recently retired. A crowdfunding site, meanwhile, shows that naive, ignorant, stupid donors, say it again, shows that naive, ignorant, stupid donors have pledged more than $60,000 to help the judge, Joseph, pay legal bills. Taxpayers ceased picking up the tab for the judge when she was indicted, a court official told the newspaper, and she faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. 20 years in prison. Well, that means she's going to serve about 7, if that. That's not good enough. I guess I'm Johnny Hardass. Here's what gets me. She was being paid a salary of $184,600. $184,600, yet the taxpayers had to pick up the tab of $125,000 to pay her defense. She went to have her pay reinstated, but was only getting $83,344 a year, but recently retired. What is wrong with that picture? A whole lot's what's wrong with that picture. That's what's wrong. There she is there, putting on a good act. Like she's just all broken up. Looks like she's trying to cry to me. Jesus Christ. And this is what the Democrats want to fill the Supreme Court with. District courts, federal courts. These little terrorist activist judges. These communist, liberal cockroaches and termites they're trying to infest our system with. You Democrats, you liberals out there, I'm going to tell you something. You best remove your heads from your ass real quick. All of you. Because this showdown you're wanting, this trying to incite a civil war, you're going to lose big time. Big time. Because so far all you've got's cotton candy and a rainbow flag. That's what you got. Cotton candy and a rainbow flag. And that goes for you politicians. Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer. All of you. Because we're going to be taking the fight, the civil war to your homes, your offices. And it's not going to be pretty. And if you think the United States military or these cops that have been shot and killed by your communist, terrorist, liberal cockroaches are going to stand up for you and protect you, well, you better think again. So just keep playing with your cotton candy and your rainbow flag. See where that gets you. Let's take a little closer look at this judge. Unbelievable. Judge Joseph, nominated by Governor Charlie Baker, April 25th, 2019 is when this article came out. District Court Judge Shelley M. Richmond Joseph leaves federal court in Boston, Massachusetts on April 25th, 2019 after she indicted on obstruction of justice charges for preventing an ICE officer from taking custody of an undocumented defendant. Newton District Court Judge Shelley M. Richmond Joseph was nominated to her $184,000 a year salary by Governor Charlie Baker in September 2017. skip through a little bit of this because I've already read it to you. She was confirmed by the Governor's Council on October 2017. From 1993 to 2000, she worked as an Assistant Attorney General in the Family and Community Crimes Bureau, the Business Affair Labor Protection Bureau, and the Criminal Bureau, according to Baker's office. She has served as an adjunct faculty member of New England School of Law and Massachusetts School of Law, and has been featured as a lecturer by the Massachusetts Bar Association, Women's Bar Association, Massachusetts Academy of Trial Lawyers, and Massachusetts Continuing Legal Education. Here's where it gets good. She is a graduate of New England School of Law and Boston College, and was a former member of the Democratic State Committee. Democratic State Committee, former member. Where do you Democrats obviously think you're above the law? And then when you're caught, remember, she pled not guilty. They actually think they're above the law. And when they're caught, oh, they're always not guilty. But everybody else is guilty but them. I can think of Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Obama, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch. They all think they're above the law. Everybody else has got to toe the line but them. They think they can do whatever the Sam hell they want. The judge, defense attorney, and state prosecutor were heard discussing the fact that an ICE agent was going to detain Jose Medina Perez before the audio was shut off. All court proceedings are required to be recorded. The Boston Globe obtained a copy of their conversation. The audio begins with Juergens saying, "I don't think it's him." Jelenich's response is muffled except for the beginning in which he says ICE is convinced that this is the guy. He goes on to mention certain social media posts and that my client denies that it's him. Jellich can then be heard saying, ICE will pick him up if he walks out the front door. But I think it's the best thing for us to do is clear the fugitive issue and release him on personal. The next part was not audible. The prosecutor responds by saying, I don't think arguing with ICE is really my... The last part of the sentence was not picked up by the recording. Next, Joseph brings up the idea of continuing the case until the next day. Juergens responds by saying, there is a detainer attached to my paperwork, but I felt like that's separate and apart from what my role is. Joseph is then heard saying ICE is going to get him. The defense attorney asked if the clerk is recording their conversation. Judge Joseph asked her clerk to shut off the recording and allow them to go off the record for a moment. Wow. Unbelievable. Number 2. Medina Perez was released and escorted out of the building using a back entrance to avoid confronting the ICE agent. He was arrested again later that month. And there's your judge. I'm going to assume her husband. $184,000 a year salary judge. A Democrat, liberal, communist, Marxist, socialist. Jose Medina Perez was arrested March 30th in Newton, Massachusetts on drug possession charges. I'm going to read that again. Jose Medina Perez was arrested on March 30th in Newton, Massachusetts on drug possession charges, as reported by the Boston Globe. During his arrest, police discovered an outstanding warrant from Pennsylvania, as well for drunk driving arrest. That's where the fugitive designation comes from. In Judge Joseph's courtroom a few days later, the prosecutor decided to drop the fugitive charge, claiming that the mugshot from Pennsylvania did not match the defendant. The drug charge was not severe enough to require Medina Perez to continue to be held in custody. Therefore, the Newton District Court could release him. I'm going to read that again. The drug charge was not severe enough, according to them, to require Medina Perez to continue to be held in custody. Therefore, the Newton District Court could release him. However, according to sources cited by the newspaper, it appears that Judge Joseph and the defense attorney may have taken extra steps to help Medina Perez get around the ICE agent who was waiting for him at the courthouse through the back door and reportedly climbed over a fence to get away. He was not free for very long. Medina Perez, who also goes by names Oscar Manuel Perego and Julio Alexis Rios, was arrested later that same month. His deportation case is reportedly pending. According to ICE, he's a native of the Dominican Republic and was deported in 2003 and 2007. So there you go. Dominican Republic. Not necessarily Honduras, not Mexico. Number 3, Newton, Massachusetts is a sanctuary city, and the state Supreme Court ruled in 2017 that people could not be detained on immigration violations alone. Could not be detained on immigration violations alone. The state Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court, but the state Supreme Court ruled, the state Supreme Court in Massachusetts ruled in 2017 that people could not be detained on immigration violations alone. So there's a little bit of difference here. Know the difference. We're talking state Supreme Court, and then you got the federal Supreme Court. So you got a bunch of communist activist judges, terrorists, on the state Supreme Court of Massachusetts. They make up their laws. The City Council in Newton, Massachusetts voted in February 2017 to designate the community as a sanctuary city. The City Council in Newton, Massachusetts voted in February 2017 to designate the community as a sanctuary city. The vote passed 16-1. Under the ruling, city officials were stating that local police would not help federal officials detain undocumented immigrants. The local police would not help federal officials detain undocumented immigrants. But you can damn sure bet if you were driving through Newton, Massachusetts with a tail light out, or expired tags, or you were speeding 5 to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, or you were illegally parked, those little communist cops who refused to stand up against their own city, you'd be getting a ticket, and you'd be required to pay it or show up in court. And if you refused to pay it, you'd be going to jail. Huh? Think about that for a minute. You're speeding through Newton, Massachusetts. 8 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. You get a ticket. Or maybe you're not speeding at all and they just make up the charge because they need some revenue. Your ass would be expected to pay the ticket. If you don't pay the ticket, they're going to put you in jail. I'll bet if you were drinking and driving in Newton, Massachusetts, you'd get a ticket, they'd arrest you and tow your car and impound it, and make you pay the impound fee, the tow bill, as well as your DWI charges. How much you want to bet? Looks to me like the city of Newton, Massachusetts City Council needs to be removed and overhauled. In 2017, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court also ruled that law enforcement officers cannot detain someone based solely on their immigration status. That means that even if federal officials issue a detainer, local and state police cannot hold that person unless they are facing criminal charges. The High Court's ruling was based on a case called, I don't know, whatever it says. You can read through that entire report, which is embedded above. The defendant was arrested on suspicion of robbery, but the charge was later dropped. So evidently you got another illegal case. ICE requested that local police detain him even after robbery charge was dismissed because he was reportedly an undocumented immigrant from Cambodia. Well, we're just taking everybody from anywhere. And they're committing crimes, robbery, drug possession. The Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court ruled in the man's favor, naturally, arguing that the state was not required to hold a person in custody based solely on their immigration status. Well, all right, you can't hold me in custody just because I refuse to pay a fine. You can't hold somebody in custody either because they shoplifted in Newton, Massachusetts. And because I stole a cop car. You can't hold me in contempt or arrest me and hold me in jail because I stole one of the police units and went on a joyride. And of course, I'm making that up. But here's the deal. And if you remember back to the person who actually said this, when the law breaks the law, then there is no law. I'll say it again. When the law breaks the law, then there is no law. Now, how many of you out there know who said that? It was in a movie. The guy's name was Tom Laughlin. He played actor Billy Jack. I will try at the end of this video to show you that clip. When we as officers of the law are confronted with an abuse within our system, we take those allegations seriously. Any conduct which severs the underlying trust that the citizens of the Commonwealth place in those who hold positions of power and authority is a stain on all those who swore an oath to protect and serve with honor and integrity, said Peter C. Fitz, Special Agent in charge of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Homeland Security Investigations, Boston. The people of this country deserve nothing less than to know that their appointed and elected representatives are working on their behalf while adhering to and enforcing the rule of law, not a personal agenda. The Special Agents of Homeland Security Investigations remain committed to upholding our promise to the public without compromise. The actions of this judge in this incident are a detriment to the rule of law and highly offensive to the law enforcement officers of ICE, who swear an oath to uphold our nation's immigration laws, said Tom Lyons, Acting Field Director, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations, Boston. In order for our criminal justice system to work fairly for all people, it must be protected against judicial officials who would seek to replace the implementation of our laws with their own ideological views or politically driven agenda. I'm going to read that again. In order For our criminal justice system to work fairly for all people, it must be protected against judicial officials who would seek to replace the implementation of our laws with their own ideological views or politically driven agenda. I would also like to thank U.S. Attorney Lelling for his local leadership and his continuous and faithful support of the ERO law enforcement mission. And here's the best part. Judge Joseph, who was drawing $184,000 a year, used to work as a defense attorney in a firm with her husband. So she didn't just make a mistake, and she didn't just not know. She knew full well what she was doing. Full well. She aided and abetting in criminal activity, and she was an attorney that went to law school. She didn't become an attorney after working 3 months at McDonald's. She went to law school to learn the law. Truth be known, she probably went to law school on the taxpayer's dime, on government grants. And this is what they turn out. Brain dead shits like this. There's her and her husband there. I mean, if we're going to break the laws in this country, and there aren't going to be any, I think they ought to at least be exposed, those who are in high positions, who are willing to break our laws, not run and hide like a bunch of cockroaches and termites. Yeah. 2 lawyers, supposed lawyers, I'm not sure they're really lawyers. I think they probably obtained a fake law degree, and who knows if they're real or not. Yeah. Shelley M. Richmond Joseph was appointed to the bench in September 2017. She previously worked alongside her husband at a law firm they founded together in 2003 called Joseph & Joseph, according to her official bios on Massachusetts Governor, or mass.gov. She specialized in criminal defense hearings before the Registry of Motor Vehicles and restraining orders. Joseph does have prior experience as a prosecutor as well. She worked as an assistant district attorney at the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office in Boston during the 1990s. She also served as assistant attorney general from 93 through 2000. Joseph earned a bachelor's degree in political science from the Boston College with a concentration in Spanish. She earned her law degree from the New England School of Law. You're a traitor to your country. That's what you are, a traitor. And be glad I'm not president, because if you all think Trump is bad, he's a cakewalk compared to me, because your ass would have done been escorted out of that courtroom. And I have strong reservations about even putting you on a plane and shipping you out of the United States, although you would be shipped out. You would not be on a plane. I want to make that very clear. You would not be on an airplane, although the airplane would be airborne. Make no mistake about what I'm saying. The aircraft would be airborne. You just wouldn't be in it. You'd be trailing behind it on a long rope. That's how I do things. You'd be taken to a country, dropped off somewhere in the Middle East with no money, no cell phone. Going to break the law, we're going to break them. Going to uphold them, we're going to uphold them, but you broke the law. Now, 2 wrongs don't make a right. But like Billy Jack said, When the law breaks the law, there is no law. And for the next 2.5 hours, or 3 hours, or 8 hours, however long it takes, I would suspend the law for the pilots of that aircraft while they drag you across the Atlantic Ocean on the end of a rope behind an aircraft, taking you to the Middle East, because I don't want you in that plane. Cruel and unusual punishment? Tough shit. She's got all this law degree experience behind her. Evidently, she needs a little cruel and unusual punishment. What goes around comes around. There she is there, Shelley M. Joseph, Massachusetts District Court Judge. Unbelievable. I've never seen such disregard for the justice system as what these Democratic, communist, Marxist, terrorist liberals are doing, and thinking they can get by with it. It is utterly disgusting and pathetic what these Democratic, communist liberals are doing. Pathetic.